Thank you, Kyle, very much. Just a little bit of information. When Dr. Simpson was hired to be the superintendent here, he asked me if I would serve on the long-range planning committee. So I did, and we spent almost a year looking at every piece of property that the Guthrie schools have. Made trips over to Kingfisher to see the new junior high, made trip up to Enid to see a new grade school that was built, and the refurbishing of the high school up there. And so anyway, from that standpoint, our long-range planning committee made a recommendation to the school board that the #1 priority would be to build a new school building in the south part of the county. And that was based on the demographics of where the students were and the amount of money that we could save in bus transportation time for those students. Unfortunately, the first school bond offered, I felt, was strategically a trick. They did not include the new school building. It was a very small bond, maybe $1.5 million, something to that nature, but it was to be paid for in like a year or a year and a half. And because of that short duration, it would have represented a 29% property tax increase, which I thought was exceedingly extreme. So I led an effort to oppose that, and that was defeated. What I thought the strategy is once we could get that passed and paid off, then we could offer a much larger bond for a much longer period of time and claim that it would not be a property tax increase. So that was defeated. Then in 2015, they came back with the largest school bond in the history of Guthrie. It was $16.5 million, a 10-year bond, and I did not oppose that. And it passed overwhelmingly. We're in the process, in fact, they just issued the remaining part of those bonds. We started collecting on that bond in January of 2016, so we've been collecting just a little over 3 years. Now we're back with another bond that is even larger. It is $19.25 million. There will be some stacking, not total stacking, and I commend the Guthrie School Board and their bond advisor for doing as much as they could to keep this additional increase down percentage-wise. The problem is, the worst form of taxation that there is property tax. And let me explain why it's so bad. If you're poor, or if you're on a single income, or a ripple in life comes along and you're on your back, you're not making much money, so you don't pay much in income tax. You're not spending much money, so you don't pay much in sales tax. And because of that, those are far superior form of taxes, because with property tax, it doesn't matter if you're on your back or not. You're going to probably see your property tax go up. And if you don't pay them, our good sheriff over here, or wherever he is now, will come and padlock your house and auction your house off. So I'm always dedicated to keeping property taxes as low as possible. What is the alternative to that? The alternative, I believe, and I have challenged the citizens that voted for these high taxes, let's set aside a new foundation and voluntarily contribute to that. And let those voluntary contributions go to improve the schools and such as that. I even volunteered to make the first $200 contribution to that foundation. There was some discussion about it. It didn't come about. They decided they would stay with the Guthrie Public Schools Foundation. I chose not to contribute to that because, by the way, in case you haven't, if you've read any of the mail, guess who's paying for that mail? The Guthrie Public Schools Foundation. So I certainly wasn't going to contribute to that. Ultimately, I've also challenged them to do a sales tax, a very small, a 3/16 sales tax. There is a way to do this to actually lower the Guthrie sales tax to below 9% with the cooperation of all of the people, all the stakeholders. One final thing here. The new school they built down there is a fabulous facility. I toured it on open house day. It's very practical. It's not an edifice to man. But sometimes there's things in these schools that aren't good. And I would like to ask anyone here, is the book, Heather Has Two Mommies, appropriate for pre-K through 4th grade? That's my question. If you've kept up with the things that's gone on in Oklahoma City, you know the various MAPS programs. I believe it was MAPS 3. That was an extension of a 1 penny sales tax for several years, and all that money was used to improve every single school building in Oklahoma City School District. I have a flyer here for anyone that wants to see it. There's a few things that we're asking for. Number one, let's pay this bond issue off that's already been passed before we consider another one. Number two, let's stop the log rolling. Many school districts will offer 2 or 3 different bonds, maybe one for a new school, maybe one for football fields, parking lots, another one for transportation. They do multiple bonds. They have log rolled the last one, they've log rolled this one. It's the classic definition of it. Then the third thing I think it's important for people to know is that elderly people on fixed incomes that have had their taxes frozen, when a bond issue passes, your frozen taxes are going to go up because you still have to pay the additional for your bond. And so all I'm saying is, let's pay this first one off. Let's look at some other revenue sources. They can be done, and I appreciate your time. If you'd like this flyer, I have plenty of them for folks here. Thank you.